All right, a lot has happened on the FF14 scene since Thursday, a lot more information. So let's go ahead, let's gather everything up, and let's go over it one piece at a time. All right, I was too lazy to go ahead and make a script, but I still needed notes. So I put together a PowerPoint like I was back in goddamn fucking 6th grade, but I digress. Let's take a look back at everything and let's go over what all happened with the plugin Mare Syncronos. Now, first off, to get a few things out of the way, if for some insane reason you want to go ahead and react to this video, you have my full consent. I don't know why you'd want to, but you have it. Just in case. Because I don't see a whole lot of people getting all the details, which is why I was encouraged to go ahead and do this, but I digress. Now, I want to stress a couple of things before we get into this, all right? I am not going to mention any other plugin that I know of or any other tool I know of or anything I have learned in the research of this entire story. None of it I'm going to mention. I will be referring to it by just a project, maybe by the first letter of its name, but that's it. We are going to talk about Mare Syncronos because Mare Syncronos is first off dead and it's not coming back, and saying Mare Syncronos instead of Mare is way more fun. It just is. But yeah, the entire modding scene operates under rule number 1 and rule number 2 of Fight Club. You do not talk about Fight Club. And the second rule is you don't talk about Fight Club, which they disobeyed a lot, but moving on. Now, what we know. Thursday afternoon, pretty much the entire modding community was completely blindsided when Floof on the Mare Discord announced that the sun is setting and the day is ending, and it is with a heavy heart they have announced the end of Mare Syncronos as you know it. They got a legal inquiry concerning the project. We still don't know what that is. We pretty much everyone assumes it's a cease and desist. We also all assume it's from Square because they have the most reason to do it. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then as of Friday that morning, it was taken down. It was about 5 a.m. my time that it was taken down, which means that by this, the quick screenshot I grabbed was in, so the whole thing happened around 12:30 Central Time. Now, one thing that's important to note, Project D, if you know, you know, openly said they have nothing to announce at the time. Now, Project D has a much bigger role in the modding community than anything else, mostly because it's pretty much the massive umbrella everything else falls under in order to be installed. So there was a whole lot of information going around. There was some saying that Project D was also getting a cease and desist. Other people were saying they're going after it, and none of it was verifiable. And Project D themselves came out and said nothing is happening other than, you know, we found out that Mare is being shut down. So that much we do know about. Now, I said that we don't know what it is. But if you ask anyone else, they're going to say, but we know it's a cease and desist. We had this wonderful little thing right here. Everyone's seen this, or rather a much lower quality version of it. I managed to find the highest quality version, probably the original, from supposedly Floof, although I don't know where Floof is called legitimately cringe, but you know, nicknames happen. But this circulated very early after the announcement that Mare Syncronos is shutting down. And it says that they got a C&D from Square Enix, commenting, yep, it's real. The PDF also had an actual home address. Now, first note that this thing is fake. They would not send a cease and desist via a PDF. A legal document is always sent via snail mail, and it would be sent in that same manner. Most likely, it would be sent from a law firm that works with Square Enix here in the US, or wherever Floof is based. I actually don't know where Floof is based. I assume US, but I don't know. But they would go ahead, hire a law firm in that area. They would write up the cease and desist, and the cease and desist would be mailed out. That's how pretty much legal documents universally are done. You almost never hear about a PDF being sent. So that's the first thing that's just kind of off. I also said that they were a moron, had their real name and some commits as they didn't realize due to effing GitHub credentials. You want to know why I don't believe that? Because I know the anti-RP community all too well. The anti-RP community is strangely malicious. If that information was out there on the GitHub, they would have found it and they would have been using it to insane efficiency to harass Floof long ago. So the whole thing I don't believe. All right, this whole thing doesn't smell right. In addition, there's no timestamps. I can't find any setting within Discord to remove your timestamps. In addition, if this is a screenshot directly from Discord, why doesn't the avatar line up? I have a perfectly straight line I drew here. You can even tell it doesn't match there. That spacing is off. This whole thing, it doesn't add up. And I forgive most people for not knowing that, because a far blurrier version for some reason has been going around of this. This is the original, as far as I can tell. It's bad. It's not convincing at all when you go ahead and do a little bit of scrutiny. So this whole thing, the whole confirmation C&D from Square Enix, no, it is not confirmed. It is still likely that that is what happened, but we don't know for certain. So cease and desist from Square Enix because Floof had their real name and other stuff exposed on the GitHub. No, it doesn't smell right. And then we have this letter that was sent as the supposed cease and desist, which I'm not gonna lie, the language of this cease and desist, respectably passable. Couple problems though. As far as I can tell, this right here is nothing, this alleged location. But far more importantly, the Square logo should be over here. In addition, for it to be a proper cease and desist, you should be addressing the person you are sending the cease and desist to by their full legal name. You would not be saying it as "Dear developers of Mare Syncronos." You just wouldn't. And it's just right there. This doesn't smell right at all. In addition, if we have this first page, where's the rest of it? Why do we only have this one page? Mostly because the guy who made this and tried to pass it off as "I got the deets" and to spread misinformation, that's all they made, because they felt that's all they had to make. So no. In addition, yeah, a lot of this language isn't exactly the best. So I'll also admit though, I did not look up to see if end user license agreement section 3.2 actually did line up to the prohibited use of third-party software modification, hacks, interference with the game's code, data transmission, or user experience. I didn't bother to look that up, mostly because once you realize this and that none of this other stuff matches up, also if I write my line, this isn't gonna line up either. You know, this is defunct. We don't have a letter. We don't have any solid evidence. Now, of course, the question now becomes, why was Mare actually shut down? And there's a lot of reasons. Of course, it's against TOS. There's some reports out there that Floof used a trademark of Square Enix on the GitHub repository page. It's because Mare, of course, uses the account IDs, just like PlayerScope, that stalker app. Ooh, the one that nobody wants. It was a security risk to the whole community. And of course, Mare circumvents the cash shop, and Square Enix was pressured by, you know, maybe Visa and MasterCard to get rid of those filthy floor tanks. I mean, dragoons. I mean, gooners. over there on the Balmung bench. And also because copyright, sure, why not? Well, let's go over each of these. Let's go over each of these real quick. Now, of course, the TOS is the obvious one. Mare is, in fact, against the terms of service. There's no getting around that. It is a third-party tool. It is explicitly against the terms of service to use a third-party tool. And there is a long history of Square Enix when they catch streamers using third-party tools or catch people not streaming using third-party tools, they ban them. The thing is that Mare is an interesting case. Remember how I said that the first rule of FF14 modding is you don't talk about FF14 modding? Ever since Mare came out, because you need to exchange a code, people broadcast that nonsense in their search info and their player adventure plates like nobody's business. Oh my god. It is omnipresent and obnoxious for most people. And the thing is that while Mare has pretty much been operating almost completely out in the open with the worst of vague codes enshrouding it, it has been operating peacefully and unmolested for 3 years. In fact, the only thing that has been endangering Mare's operation has been pretty much just the various main patches that end up taking almost all plugins down for roughly 3 days while they go and reverse engineer how to get back operational, and the community itself overloading the Mare servers. Now, I actually operated under the assumption everyone knows what Mare Syncronos is. Mare Syncronos, all it does is that it uses several different existing plugins. The two primary ones being Project G and Project P. Project P lets you install cosmetic mods that alter your character's appearance or alter their animations or it alters anything. All right, it alters a lot of looks, but it doesn't affect gameplay at all. Project G swaps your character build and what your character is wearing with something else. With Project G, you could turn a giant Rogadin wearing basic gear into a Lalafell wearing, current, the latest Savage tier gear, custom dyed with a ultimate weapon if you really wanted to. But you usually combine the two to go ahead and create the look that you really want. The thing is that with those two projects I just talked about, only you can see it. Only you can see what you've done. Everyone else just sees you as the rest of the game sees you. Mare Syncronos lets other people see what you have done to yourself with Project P and Project G. That's all Mare does. Just so that we're all on the same page. Mare is not something that circumvents cash shops. It doesn't go ahead and enable porn. No. That's the other two that do that. that's the other two that go ahead and enable all that sort of stuff. But the thing is that, but like I said, terms of service violation makes perfect sense, except Mare has been operating out in the open for over 3 years. Every adventure plate that uses, or every user that uses Mare usually advertise it in their adventure plate that they want you to go to Mare Lectorum, or that they're better under the moonlight, or something else that's vaguely subtle, that it's about as subtle as a semi-truck instead of a freight train. And on top of that, many major venues also broadcasted that they supported Mare as well. I can't wait to find out what actually this whole time was just Mare, but Mare just sounds so much more fun to say. Anyway, so the fact that it's just like suddenly FF14 just decided that now Mare is against terms of service after Mare's been operating in broad daylight for 3 years, there would have to be a singular event that really made it even more painfully obvious than it already was, which there might be. We'll get to that in a minute. But what about the fact that Team Mare violated Square Enix's trademark, according to a handful of tweets with no evidence. Well, there is some truth to this, right? Any trademark of Square Enix's, Square Enix would have to go after them. They'd have to press charges because otherwise they can risk losing their trademark. And that's just kind of a weird little thing about Japanese law. So whether Square would want to or not go after Mare, they now have to if a trademark was used. The problem is the fact the Mare repo, as far as I'm aware, has looked exactly the same for 3 years. So why wouldn't they have gone at it sooner? The other thing is that no one can tell anyone exactly what trademark was being used, where, or anything. No one has any screenshots of what this alleged trademark was. So this one, I'm not gonna lie, I think this is bunk. I don't think there was any trademark that was violated. But of course, one of the most loud ones, Mare costs Square money. Now again, Project G lets you change your race. Mare lets others who have the same code as you, that you have shared codes with, see what race change you have done. So kinda, sorta, it does get around Fantasias. It also does get around because Project G can make you look like you're wearing any clothes possible. It also can make it so that you're wearing cash shop item only outfits. All right. But here's the funny thing about Mare and about animation specifically. Animation mods require you to already have its specific emote that the animation swap uses already known. So for example, if I wanted to go to a dance club and dance a meme dance, but that meme dance requires, we'll say the Popoto step, I have no way to force my character to not use the Popoto step. I'd have to go to the cash shop and buy the Popoto step in order to use that dance. That's a real example, by the way. That actually does exist. I did not pull that out of my butt. In addition, most people frown upon others going ahead and trying to do full race swaps in Mare unless the end result is something that doesn't exist in FF14, such as a giant dragon or a kaiju or a fox boy or girl or a mouse, but you get the idea. When push comes to shove though, I would say that there's a decent chance any amount of money that Square would lose by people using mods to circumvent not getting an outfit from the cash shop, it balances out from the people who are then required to go to the cash shop to get a specific emote for their favorite dance or other less wholesome animations, we'll phrase it like that. They would have to go to the cash shop to get it there. And no, to my knowledge at least, there is no plugin or project or anything that bypasses this requirement. So yeah, this whole Mare costs Square money, it probably doesn't. There's actually a decent chance that I would say, honestly, when push comes to shove, they probably end up around the same amount of money. I'm not going to be so bold as to claim that the modding scene and Mare is making Square money. It might, but I kind of doubt it. I think whatever money lost or gained because of Mare and the modding scene is negligible. Well, I mentioned it before about the various add-ons and animations that are more impure, that are not safe for work, and there's been a big push by MasterCard and Visa to clean up all the games and ban them. So maybe Square was pressured by MasterCard and Visa to clean that all up. You know, I would agree, with one exception. Mare was the wrong target. If the goal was to get rid of all not safe for work content, Mare Syncronos does hinder that slightly, but hitting Project P or Project D is far more effective at just stopping the entire not safe for work content generation pipeline of the Final Fantasy XIV community. That also being said, there's been a lot of that stuff that's just moved to Blender anyway. So this whole thing, I kind of doubt. I kind of don't believe this one. All right, what about those dances you mentioned earlier? They violate copyright law because your meme dance uses a copyrighted music. The thing is that I seriously doubt it, because usually it's on the onus of the copyright holder to put the pressure on. They would then most likely go after the mod maker, not Square, to get rid of music being played for like 7 people in a game using third-party tools. Legally, I don't buy this one. I don't buy this one like at all. It's possible, but extremely unlikely. Which now brings us to one of the 2 things I suspect is what really brought this down. And that's the fact that Mare uses the game account IDs. Now, what is the game account ID? Dawntrail introduced a new blacklist system. Okay? The new blacklist system makes it so that if you blacklist someone, you don't see them anymore. And you don't see any of their alts either. To do this, the client now tracks someone's game account ID. So they'll see the player, but also their ID number, their internal game ID number. Normally, no one has any way to see this game ID number. However, 2 plugins utilized this blacklist system to do what they did best. The new version of Mare, for whatever reason, I'm not going to pretend I know why, went from not using the game account IDs to using them the moment that they became available. More than likely, this was to help make sure that each people only needed to make 1 Mare code per account rather than per character. Most likely this was done, and I don't know this for a fact, was probably done was done by the Mare team just to go ahead and take a little bit of the load off their servers. Mare Syncronos, keep in mind, they had over 100,000 users. Only about 10,000 of them were active at a time, maybe even 20,000, but that's still a lot of load for some servers to do. And as some people I've talked to who are working on Mare replacements are commenting, you need some serious server horsepower to do what Mare did at the scale that it did. So for them to go ahead and take off a little bit of the workload, it makes some sense. Now, of course, Mare did this, and it used the game account IDs for a more wholesome intention, but then there's Player Scope, another add-on that is now defunct, which is why I'm comfortable saying its name, also F them, that used game account IDs for malicious purposes. It used game account IDs for the purposes of stalking. It used this to create loads upon loads of data on each player that at the push of a button you could see their other alts, their what you calls it, the location of all their other characters, their retainers, everything. You could collect a disgusting amount of information through Player Scope. Square, of course, saw Player Scope and said, yeah, we can't do that. That's a safety concern for the community. That needs to go. After debating on it for several months on whether they should or shouldn't get rid of it. So Square did it twice, altered how their blacklists worked to try and halt Player Scope, and then sent a cease and desist after Player Scope. The theory goes that after they got rid of Player Scope and saw that there's still traffic using the game account IDs, and a lot of it, they go to see what it is, find the Mare server, trace it down. And by the way, before you go ahead and say, oh, well, you said they didn't have a legal name on the repo, so how did they get it? They just subpoenaed. That's how you normally do it. If you're looking to take legal action against someone, you'd go ahead and subpoena GitHub or the host of the servers and say you're legally required to hand over this information is for a legal case. It's what you do. That is most likely the path that this took. This quite possibly is the main reason why they went after Mare. So, do we know that for certain though? We do not. Like I said, I suspect that is the account ID traffic that Modern Mare used that traced back to the repo. It is possible that Mare's repo did violate a Square trademark, but we don't have any confirmation of that. But then there's also the big Bismarck party. This is a huge community event that took over Twitter for a couple of days, in fact. And it lasted almost 2 weeks. And Mare was a big part of it. It was estimated the amount of bandwidth with the amount of people that were using Mare sync shells to look at each other there was roughly 1.5 petabytes of bandwidth being used. It was so bad with the amount of people that were there on Bismarck on the Costa del Sol Islands that normal people on Bismarck, which is normally a server that is basically unpopulated, they just couldn't get anything done. Just nothing they could do. So some mixture of this, as far as we can tell right now, is what drew the eye of Square, and Square said, yeah, you need to go. Right now, as far as we're aware, no other plugin, no other project is in danger. So with Mare down, what will the RPers do besides get harassed by haters? Which, by the way, holy smokes, there's been a lot of, I'm just going to straight up say it, irrational hatred towards the RPers. Both the innocent venue goers and the filthier ones. We'll just phrase it like that. The dirtier RPers. A lot of hatred towards that. Y'all need to go touch grass. They're not hurting you. You can live. You can just let the RPers live. In any case, what are the RPers going to do? Well, they should touch grass. It's just healthy. Go do it. Just pet the grass. It's good for you. The other thing is that already it's only been a few days. I know of 6 different Mare forks out there. A few of which are already in testing. One of which is already fully active, though that one Project L kind of is a big L. You should kind of avoid that one. If you know, you know. Though those individuals, if they got hit with a C and D from Square, I would not feel bad. They're kind of sketchy. A lot of these other ones show some promise. A lot of them so far appear fine. And what's really becoming a bit more obvious is, first off, the modders remembering the first rule of frickin' Fight Club. Don't talk about Fight Club. It's that simple. Just don't talk about Fight Club. Easy peasy. Okay? And more than likely, there's going to be more than one Mare. So Mare Syncronos, it was the only plugin like that. No other plugin did what it did. So it was one centralized source of all this traffic. More than likely, we're not going to see that sort of thing again. We're not going to see one system kind of take hold as the one system to go ahead and throttle the internet or throttle Bismarck. I doubt we're going to see that sort of thing again. People are going to be a lot more subtle about it, and there's going to be multiple of these things. That's what I am already seeing. And quite frankly, I'd say in about a week, the venues will be back to having people go ahead, look like goth strippers again, and dance away with the toka 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 dance, or whatever meme dance you want to do at that time. So all in all, the RPers, they're going to be fine. I said a couple days ago that Mare getting C indeed was a catastrophic blow. And it is. Mare Syncronos being taken down was a catastrophic blow to the RP community. Here's the thing. If a town suffers catastrophic damage from, say, a river flooding or a tornado going through, they don't just bend over and accept death. Some might. But do you know what that town or village mostly does? They clean up and they rebuild. And already we're seeing the cleanup and rebuilding already in progress. There. That's my crappy PowerPoint in Arial font. I should have picked a different font, but I didn't because I f***ing suck. So that's pretty much it for me. If you like this kind of content and for some reason like PowerPoints, let me know in the I actually really do want to hear in the comments again, because first off, the other video did really well and I actually legitimately surprised it got any kind of traction whatsoever. But I really do want to hear from people, even if it is just, you know, you hate my fat face, or you don't like our peers, or your points sound kind of sus, or positive or negative, whatever it may be. I do want to hear what you're all thinking. I really do want to know. Oh, I will say there was one comment in the last one that said all casual content is dead. Next week, September 2nd, we're gonna see 7.31, and you're going to see the next step of cosmic exploration come up. Your casual content is coming. Don't worry. I also do want to see, does their plan for making the next deep dungeon much more approachable, does that end up making it actual decent casual content? We'll have to see. I'll probably have some more stuff about that. I still want to go ahead and finish the video I started about 7.14 story and then get moving on to what I'd like to see in job changes. And if you'd like to be part of those conversations, please do subscribe. I also stream on Twitch. I stream here. Take care. Have a good day. My name is Falcon. Bye-bye.